Helen here with Las Vegas Sports Network, and I'm here at the Staples Center being joined by the man, Ryan, the hockey guy. Now, we all saw last night the Golden Knights now take a 3-0 lead in the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs after their 3-2 victory last night. What did you make of the game?
It was LA's best effort, and it just wasn't good enough. LA really pushed the pace. They hit everything in the first period. It was the fastest they had looked in the entire series. It was the best 20 minutes that they had played in this series, and they were only up 1-0. And when you're only up 1-0 against one of the highest scoring teams in the league that can generate chances off the rush, that have learned to play with sustained zone time and learn to cycle the puck, you're going to be in trouble. And LA wore out, and Vegas took advantage.
Now, Coach Gallant did say in the post-game presser that a key to their victory was kind of remaining calm, coming out in the third. All three of their goals were scored in the third, Eakin, and then back-to-back by Neal and Carlson. What do you make of kind of that experience by this new expansion team?
Yeah, the Golden Knights aren't playing like an expansion team, but it's mainly because of the guys that you just talked about. Cody Eakin's been around a while. James Neal's been around a while. William Karlsson's been in the league, but this is the first time that he's been relied upon as a scorer. But if you look at James Neal, you see his footprint on this game all over the ice. It was calming down Jonathan Marchessault at the end of the second period after Marchessault took an undisciplined penalty, and it was James Neal scoring the go-ahead goal, and David Perron assisting and helping set up the Cody Eakin goal. It was the veteran leadership, the guys that have been through playoff battles, that really put their mark on that game. And it was by design, because it was one of those really tough, hard games for the Vegas Golden Knights to get into, and you have to rely on your leadership. You have to rely on the people that have been here before, and that's the Golden Knights this year. When they're not getting it from the young guys, they're getting it from the veterans.
And what about the return of David Perron, who has been out since March 28th?
Yeah, it was curious for Gerard Gallant to not put David Perron back with his typical line mates in James Neal and Erik Haula, but it seemed to pay dividends because Gallant likes what Alex Tuch is bringing to that line, and you don't necessarily want to take away a line that's going for the thought that maybe what you had before is going to return. David Perron looked a little bit rusty in the first period and a half, and then once he started to get his legs, once he started to skate, it was very evident that he was back, and he found a little bit of chemistry with Ryan Carpenter. Obviously, Cody Eakin connects on the goal, so I like that mix, and I like where it's going, and it's also a big confidence boost for Alex Tuch to know that he's playing well enough to warrant being on the second line, even with David Perron coming back into the lineup.
Now, something else that has been talked about, Erik Haula hitting Kopitar. What do you make of that situation and the play?
Yeah, it's one of those plays where you could see it kind of go both ways. You can kind of take it from each player's perspective on what they thought happened. I think Kopitar feels like Haula butt-ended him with the stick. I think Haula had his hand on his stick and tried to get up and hit Kopitar. And you can't take out of account the fact that Anze Kopitar cross-checked Erik Haula 2 times and then was laying on him while he was on the ice. I mean, it was a very chippy game last night. Adrian Kempe got away with a big hit and tackle on John Merrill. There were guys all over the ice, taking liberties, and it was mostly on the Kings' end. I think when it comes to LA, they're trying to bait Vegas into taking undisciplined penalties, and it happened in the second period, right there at the end. But the saving grace, I think, for Vegas last night was the fact that that period ended 3 or 4 seconds into that power play, because it allowed them to go into the locker room. It allowed them to wipe the slate clean. It allowed the veterans in the locker room to step up and say, we've got to be more disciplined. And Vegas came out and won the third period.
And we all have seen in 2014 that, the Kings have been in this position before when they came back and from the 3-0 deficit and won the Stanley Cup in 2014. So, do you think in a way the Kings aren't as worried because they may be thinking, hey, we've been in this situation before, we just have to do it again?
They have been in that situation before, and the last time the LA Kings were in the playoffs, it was 2016, and they played San Jose in the first round, and they lost 4 games to 1, and it was the same situation. They were down 3-0. They won Game 4, and Drew Doughty started to talk, as Drew Doughty often does, and the Sharks handled business. I don't think that this is the same scenario, because Vegas is they're stronger between the ears. They are much better mentally at this game than I think that San Jose team was. They were just waiting for that domino to fall, waiting for something catastrophic to happen. And I think understanding recent history, it's going to play into Vegas because they're not going to take the Kings lightly. They know what this room is capable of. They know what Doughty and Kopitar and Jeff Carter and all those guys are capable of doing. So I expect Vegas's best effort here in Game 4 on Thursday.
Now, yesterday, it was a very physical game, like you mentioned. But what do you think LA will bring to the game tomorrow night? And what do you think Vegas needs to do to ensure that, hey, they sweep tomorrow?
On the LA side, they've got to play 60 minutes like they did the first 25. And I don't think that they can. I don't think they can sustain that pace. One of the things I'd like to see LA do is yes, take the body. Yes, make some hits. But don't stop playing hockey. I mean, they stopped playing hockey just for the sake of taking hits. And on the Vegas side, I think it's just a matter of knowing you've got this team's number. They don't have enough to skate with you. So skate, play fast. It's written on their locker room, play fast. And that's what they've got to do. If they play Golden Knights hockey, I don't think the LA Kings can match that intensity, match that speed, and beat them in a 60-minute game.
And lastly, what are your predictions for tomorrow?
Oh, man, that's the worst because I always predict and look ridiculous. I think Game 1 was 1-0. Game 2 was 2-1. Game 3 was 3-2. I'm going to go 4-3. 4-3 Vegas. I think they do sweep. I think this team relies upon their conditioning. They rely upon running 4 lines. They rely upon speed and being relentless. And I think you look at the potential to have 7 days off. I think they want to get this over with as soon as possible.
Absolutely, and I agree with you, Ryan. And it's always great to hear your expertise and analysis. And make sure you guys check out his 3 stars of the game from last night on lvsportsnetwork.com, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.